Most people believe calm is something you have to work for. You meditate for it. You journal for it. You discipline yourself into it. Calm is often treated like a skill you need to learn, or a personality trait you either have or don't. Something fragile. Something that disappears the moment life becomes loud, fast, or unpredictable. But in Japan, calm is approached very differently. It isn't framed as a goal. It isn't practiced as a technique. And it isn't something people constantly talk about. In many cases, it's simply the default state people return to, without effort, without performance, and without much conscious thought. That difference matters. Because when calm is something you have to actively maintain, it's exhausting. The moment you stop trying, stress rushes back in. But when calm is built into the structure of daily life, it doesn't require constant self-control. It holds you instead of the other way around. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of Japanese habits. Calm in Japan is not the result of exceptional discipline or emotional suppression. It is the outcome of a system, quietly designed to reduce friction before stress has a chance to accumulate. And once you start noticing that system, you realize something important. The problem may not be that you're bad at relaxing. The problem may be that your environment constantly asks too much of your mind. In many modern societies, daily life is filled with small but relentless demands. Too many decisions, too many notifications, too many interruptions, too many moments where your attention is pulled in competing directions. Each one seems insignificant on its own, but together, they create a baseline of tension that never fully goes away. In Japan, much of daily life is structured to avoid that. Not through strict rules, not through control, but through predictability. Predictability is calming to the nervous system. When you know what to expect, your body stays relaxed. Your mind doesn't need to stay on high alert. You're not constantly scanning for surprises, threats, or sudden changes. Japanese daily routines are often simple, repetitive, and intentionally unremarkable. Meals follow familiar patterns. Social behavior is consistent. Public spaces operate according to shared, unspoken expectations. This consistency removes mental friction. You don't need to decide how to behave in every situation. You don't need to interpret social signals constantly. You don't need to negotiate your place in the environment. The structure does that work for you. And when the structure works quietly in the background, calm becomes the default. Not because people are forcing themselves to be calm, but because there is less reason not to be. Another key difference lies in how stimulation is treated. In many cultures, stimulation is seen as positive. More information, more entertainment, more choice, more engagement. Silence is often interpreted as boredom. Stillness is something to fill. In Japan, stimulation is handled with more restraint. This doesn't mean life is dull or joyless. It means stimulation is used intentionally, not constantly. There are pauses built into the day, moments that are not optimized, not productive, and not entertaining. Those pauses matter. They give the mind time to settle. They allow emotions to rise and pass without being immediately interrupted. They create space between experiences instead of stacking everything back to back. When stimulation is reduced, calm doesn't need to be manufactured. It emerges naturally. The same principle applies to decision-making. Decision fatigue is one of the most underestimated sources of stress in modern life. Choosing what to wear, what to eat, how to respond, what to prioritize, and how to manage endless small options drains mental energy faster than most people realize. Japanese habits often minimize unnecessary choices. Wardrobes are simpler. Meals are more predictable. Daily routines follow familiar rhythms. This is not about minimalism as an aesthetic. It's about conserving mental energy. When fewer decisions are required, the mind stays clearer. Emotional reactions soften. Patience increases. Calm becomes easier to access, not because people are trying harder, but because they're being asked to decide less. There is also an important social dimension to this calm. In Japan, many behaviors are guided by shared understanding rather than constant negotiation. People generally know how to stand, how to wait, how to move through space, and how to coexist without drawing attention to themselves. This reduces a subtle but exhausting form of stress, the need to continuously assert yourself. When you don't have to constantly defend your boundaries, explain your choices, or justify your pace, emotional energy is preserved. You are allowed to exist quietly. This social predictability doesn't erase individuality. It simply lowers the volume of friction between people. Interactions become smoother, shorter, and less emotionally charged. And because there is less interpersonal noise, the mind has fewer reasons to stay tense. Over time, this creates a sense of psychological safety. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that allows the body to relax without permission, the kind that makes calm feel normal, rather than something you only experience when everything goes right. This is also why calm in Japan rarely looks performative. There is little emphasis on appearing relaxed or emotionally expressive in public. Calm is not something people display for others. It's not a signal of status or self-mastery. It's private, subtle, internal. No one is rewarded for being visibly serene. And because there's no pressure to perform calm, people don't feel the need to fake it. Emotional regulation happens quietly, without drawing attention. This reduces another major source of stress: social comparison. When calm is not a performance, there's no competition, no pressure to prove you're coping better than others, no anxiety about whether you're doing mindfulness correctly. You simply live. Visitors to Japan often notice this before they can explain it. They find themselves slowing down without trying, speaking more softly, moving with more awareness, feeling less rushed, even when their schedule hasn't changed. This isn't because Japan magically transforms people. It's because the environment gently guides behavior. When the world around you is quieter, you become quieter. When movement around you is orderly, your thoughts follow. When expectations are clear, your nervous system relaxes. Calm becomes contagious. And this is perhaps the most important lesson Japanese habits offer. Calm does not come from forcing yourself to feel better. It comes from removing the conditions that constantly make you feel worse. Instead of asking, "How can I control my mind?" the Japanese approach quietly asks, "How can life be designed to demand less from it?" That question changes everything. It shifts the focus away from personal failure and towards systemic support. Away from constant self-improvement and towards sustainable living. It acknowledges that human beings are deeply affected by their surroundings, and that peace is not just an internal achievement, but an environmental one. This doesn't mean your life needs to look Japanese. It doesn't mean adopting rituals, aesthetics, or cultural symbols. It means recognizing that calm is not something you summon in moments of crisis. It is something you return to when daily life is built with care, when habits reduce friction, when environments offer clarity, when expectations are shared and predictable. In those conditions, calm stops feeling like a fragile state you're afraid to lose. It becomes a steady background, a baseline, a place you come home to, not because you worked harder for it, but because your life stopped working against you.